I was amongst the elite of the elite, very wealthy, very powerful men, where if they lost $2 million, it was just a random Tuesday. That world brought me very wealthy men. They had very high standards for what they ate, what they drank, what they drove, where they traveled. And they may have thought they had the best doctor and they had access to all the best healthcare, but it was never hormones, it was never deeper inflammatory markers and cardiovascular markers and all the things that really make up an optimal functioning man. When women talk about going through menopause and they have to go on hormone replacement, no one batted an eye. But you never hear about Andropause, which is the men's menopause. So even though these guys had access to everything, they just weren't talking to the right people. Welcome to the Ali Gilbert Podcast. I felt the first episode should really give you an insight into how I got into men's health, because not only do I get asked that all the time on different podcasts, but I give the very abbreviated podcast version. And there is a rather large, deep story that goes into it. So growing up in the very wealthy town of Greenwich, Connecticut, I always preface that with I did not grow up Greenwich. I grew up normal, single parent household. My mom raised me. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old. And I would see my dad every weekend up until he moved to Florida when I was 13. So I was sent to an all-girls Catholic school, cue all the jokes, for 11 years. And going through school, we had a very small class, smallest being 11 girls, and my graduating class was 36. So there's only 36 of us girls. And thank God we didn't have social media back then. Oh, man. But I always knew I wanted to do something in sports. And my junior year of high school is when I really started researching different majors that were associated to athletics or strength and conditioning. And there weren't a lot of them back then, but I found Springfield College in Massachusetts. And I applied there early, the only school I applied to, because they had exercise science as a major. And I knew exactly that was what I wanted to do. So I got into Springfield early. I literally had all the rest of senior year to just chill. And I played soccer there. I played softball my first year, but ended up playing soccer all 4 years. And throughout my lifetime at Springfield, I really got into strength and conditioning. And I realized how much I loved it. Like, we had classes that were on bench press. Like, we had bench press lab. Like, how much fun is that? And I was really amongst the minority of women in this major. And I remember sophomore year specifically, we had exercise physiology lab, or I think it was exercise science. I can't remember. But we were doing body fat testing. And our professor said, all right, tomorrow I need all the girls to show up in sports bras and all the guys, please be prepared to be shirtless. And I was like, yo, I came out of 11 years of all girls school and I'm in co-ed classes now. And now we're going to be like half naked. College is awesome. We did body fat testing with calipers on each other, but that was kind of a tangent. Graduating with an exercise science degree, everybody wants to work with athletes. And you quickly realize that unless you're at the professional level right away, that you're not going to make that much money. So living in Greenwich still with my mom, I decided to work at one of the commercial gyms. And I was amongst the elite of the elite, very wealthy, very powerful men, where if they lost $2 million, it was just a random Tuesday, just another day. And it was a world that I was accustomed to because I grew up there, but also always this ulterior place that I never thought I would ever end up in. And I was training a lot of guys that happened to play golf. And I didn't really know much about golf, so it didn't interest me. I just found it boring. And I realized, well, I'm getting more and more golfers, even golf professionals. I should probably learn something about this sport. So I went on the internet, and this is circa like 2005, 6, 7. And I found the Titleist Performance Institute, and they offered a golf fitness certification. And I was like, well, damn, this is where I'm going. And I went all in on the golf fitness world and did all 3 levels that they offered and became the go-to golf fitness person in Greenwich. So being a golf fitness person, that brought me all men as a clientele. And soon I realized, as working with these guys, they would gravitate the conversation away from wanting to swing better and hit the ball farther to, how do I get rid of my love handles? How do I fill out my shirt? How do I feel better? How do I have more energy? And these guys had access to everything. They were members of multiple clubs. They played golf very regularly. Some even it was their career, but they still didn't feel good. And they had all the best doctors, all the things that they can imagine. They would have a chef, they would have maids, like they had a ton of money, but they still didn't feel good. And it's one of those things that you realize that you can buy all the fun toys, like the watches, the cars. I mean, they would sometimes make me hold their Rolex during our training session. I would be terrified. I'd be terrified they'd forget it and I'd be left responsible for this very expensive watch. The cars that they drove into the gym, very exotic, expensive, like awesome cars. But the tangent I'm going on is to bring to light the fact that these guys felt the ability to confide in me for not feeling so good, for not showing up as the man they wanted to be. And I'm very much an empath. And I knew, not having a strong father figure in my life, that this was a way that I could get validation from men, really, was to help them to feel better, to achieve success, to get to their goals. So going through all the golf fitness stuff and being the golf fitness person, that world brought me very wealthy men. And I'm talking like private equity, global financial individuals, politicians, you name it. Those were the guys that I dealt with in Greenwich. They held a very high standard when it came to pretty much everything in their lives. You had to answer their message before they even sent it to you. They had very high standards for what they ate, what they drank, what they drove, where they traveled. But when it came to their health, they were just lost. And they may have thought they had the best doctor and they had access to all the best health care. Something was still off. So learning about blood work and understanding men's health and hormones, that gave me more insight as to the why. And I asked a lot of these guys, do you get blood work done? And they would just get their regular workup from their physician, from a physical. But it was never hormones. It was never deeper inflammatory markers and cardiovascular markers and all the things that really make up an optimal functioning man. So I learned more about that. I started attending medical conferences. I started studying with physicians. There was a physician in my hometown, Dr. Stephen Murphy, who allowed me to shadow him with clients. We actually started a business together where we gave access to high-level men blood work. Comprehensive hormone panels, micronutrient testing, genetic testing, like all the things that are now the rage. This was before you could buy labs online. And we serviced anybody who valued that type of service and wanted to know that information. And then you take that information and then I integrated that into their training and their nutrition. And their results just 10x right away. And guys didn't realize that they didn't know what they didn't know. And TRT was still very much a taboo subject. It's gotten a lot better, but it was something that they didn't really talk about. I had guys who were founders, CEOs of major pharmaceutical companies that were still talking to their primary care physician about TRT. So even though these guys had access to everything, they just weren't talking to the right people. They weren't being addressed as humans. They were being put on this pedestal where they were being yes to death. They weren't being talked to transparently and like a human. And I very much do not fangirl around anyone of power or anybody who's a celebrity or anything like that. I'm just like, hey, dude, what's up? You talk to me, I am the same person on camera, on social media as I am in person. And that is one of the best compliments to this day that I ever receive when people meet me. So fast forward to around 2014, 15, I started really going all in on men's health and posting about it. And people started asking me questions, and guys would privately DM me because they didn't feel good. They had maybe some issues with sexual health. They didn't really understand who to talk to about it. And I became their go-to person. And I realized that this is a lot of fun. And this is an area that is really not being serviced, because men's health was so different than women's health, and it still is. When women talk about going through menopause and they have to go on hormone replacement, no one batted an eye. It's very normal. But menopause is a word used often in society, but you never hear about andropause, which is the men's menopause. You never hear or discuss the same things when it comes to men's health as it did women's health. So it wasn't as openly discussed, especially with men and their friends and their peers. So I just discussed it openly with them. And we made it very normalized. And I say normalizing boner talk because it allows guys to disarm and discuss openly if they do suffer from sexual health problems, whether it's at a young age or not, or if they experience the decline in their vitality, their fatigue levels, the brain fog, the lethargy, all the things that come along low testosterone, but they may not realize it. So I brought this to their attention because many men associate low testosterone with either sexual health or muscles. And there's so much more that goes into it. Guys don't realize that symptoms of low T do align with depression quite often. So throughout this and throughout the path of my career, I decided that men deserve to be serviced the same way women's health is being serviced. And so I decided that being the person who was the go-to, we have to spread the word. And I became the go-to person for not only men's health hormone testing, but also golf fitness, but then also just getting guys in better shape. And when COVID hit, pretty much everybody went online. I had already been online since 2016 because I loved being able to impact a lot of the world. And I've had mentors say to me, like, you are not driven by money, you're driven by impact. And that's true. I really, really want and still do hope to make a huge impact on the men's health world. And starting my online business, it was geared and marketed towards men. And Silverback Coaching was named Silverback Coaching because I decided that the eggplant, which is usually the emoji associated with men, was a poor representation of men's health. Like, guys don't want to look like a purple vegetable. It's not really that masculine. So Silverback gorilla, V-taper, it just kind of looks like what most men strive for. Whether you're jacked or not, it doesn't matter. It's just more the physical form. And I didn't want it to be about me, but I am kind of still the face of the brand. And Ali Gilbert is known as the queen of men's health. I did not nickname myself that. My friend Alan Cosgrove nicknamed me that. And people just said, hey, run with this. Like, you've got it. So I started going on more podcasts and everything, and people would interview me and they would ask me, why are you in men's health? And I would give them the abbreviated version of, golf fitness to working with guys to the discussions that came out of that. But then a few podcasts asked me, like, but really, what's the real reason? And I was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, I really enjoy working with guys. And they're like, no, what's the real reason? And it took me a while to truly understand that the relationship with my father was the real reason, that I had used my pain to drive my purpose. So we had always had a very interesting relationship. When he moved to Florida, we were in touch up until about college. We stopped talking for 15 years. I reconciled with him when I moved to Florida a few years ago. He was diagnosed with bipolar. He did not tell me this. I just learned that when I reconciled with him. And it's very tough. And if you've ever had a family member or a friend who is bipolar. It's a lot of highs and lows. It's a lot of volatility. It was really, really hard to deal with. And so we tried to stay in touch for the last few years, but it was very difficult. So we had stopped talking again. And I was speaking at an event in August when I got the call that he had passed away and what we wanted to do all about that. And it really had me reflecting that I did not want guys to end up like my father. Whether you're struggling with mental health or not, being able to be the man that you want to be for your daughter, for your son, for your wife, for your family, for your business, guys deserve that. And I think that's been neglected to a degree just because of how we've told guys or conditioned them that showing weakness, showing empathy, showing emotion is not really accepted as much as it is with women's health. So that's kind of the story of how I got into men's health, and realizing that there are so many areas that impact men's health that you can't have seminars that are just medical oriented towards men's health or fitness seminars towards men's health. They all have to come together. And that's when in 2022, the Silverback Summit was born. And I decided that instead of demonizing each other and alienating each other, medical and fitness professionals really needed to work together. Because when men are impacted from a physiological level and a sleep, stress, nutrition, health level, they are able to live the way that they want to. They're able to see better results. They're able to operate as a high functioning guy. And that's all I wanted. And I wanted everyone to win. It wasn't a competition. It was a place where we can learn about men's health from a clinician perspective, a fitness perspective, and even business. Because in school, like, we never learned anything business in the fitness industry, and it's the same in the medical community. So how can we drive impact, but also make a living? Let's all bring it into the same room and basically have one big brainstorm session. And several years later, it has formed and evolved into mainly a medical seminar because a lot of clinicians don't get the type of education that we provide at the summit. Because they're like, man, I never get to talk to other fitness professionals or people in business or physicians across the globe who are offering the level of men's health education that we get at Silverback Summit. And that is my baby. And that is something that I have seen grown exponentially from 35 people year one to over 300 in year 4. So the reason that I am here is to provide you guys an insight into what the men's health world is talking about right now, what we need to work on to make it better, what we can do collaboratively as humans to make things drive forward in men's health, and just to give you the knowledge that when you do come across a doctor or a clinic, you know the right questions to ask. You know how to advocate for yourself. You know that you might just feel okay, but you shouldn't be okay with feeling okay. You want to feel amazing, and you deserve to achieve everything that you want in life, whether you're a man or a woman. And I hope to help facilitate that for you. So as this podcast continues to produce episodes, as I talk about all the hot topics or even the boring topics or the relevant topics to you in your life at this time, I hope that you stick with me, and I really appreciate you here. And I thank you so much for following. And if you followed along for a while before I appeared more on my own YouTube channel, thank you. And for everyone else who is new here, get ready. When you walk into a room, you're commanding it because you're gaining respect specifically by how somebody takes care of themselves. Because if you don't take care of yourself, I don't feel you're going to get the same level of respect.
A lot of people say it's more your mental energy than your physical energy, but the two are so related that your mental energy sits on top of a reservoir of physical energy.